always popular in the CRC Summer Series. Well, folks, we're moments away from the start of the New Zealand Grand Prix, back at its spiritual home, I guess, Pukekohe Park Raceway. Behind me, the man that will start the dead-set favourite, that is Simon Wills. He's going for a three-peat. So this is what the crowds come to see, the New Zealand Grand Prix, the P&O Ned Lloyd Tasman Express final as well to decide the Tasman Cup. Very relaxed atmosphere on the grid at the moment. Watch this man, Andy Booth, originally from Hamilton, and Leroy Stevenson from Invercargill. They will start toward the front of the field. The man they'll all be watching for, though, is the man that gets the very best of the starts, and that was Simon Wills. We take the Dick Smith camera on Leroy Stevenson's car, and it points out the back of the car. Interesting shots as they head through the sweeper and down into the S's for the first lap of 40 for the New Zealand Grand Prix. In the front, though, Simon Wills, as he did in the preliminary race earlier on, he just ran away and hid from the rest of the field. Second place at the moment is Leroy Stevenson, and behind him, Andy Booth, as they come into the hairpin for the first time. And look at that, Booth's got up into second place, so Leroy Stevenson goes back into third, and in fourth now, I think it is Emerson Newton-John from the United States of America, just got a glimpse of his car, number 22, right in behind Leroy Stevenson. So there is the battle for second and third at the moment. The Barana Racing Lighting Direct car of Leroy Stevenson just in behind Andy Booth as they come up over the John Deere Hill once again. Once again, we take the Dick Smith pictures looking out the back of Leroy Stevenson's car down the front straight and through the sweeper. Now, would you believe 240 kilometres an hour, and they don't even lift through that sweeper. They slow a little bit here in the S section before they get to Castrol, but it is 240 clicks as they go through the sweeper, and the throttle is flat. That's at least what Simon Wills told us earlier on today. This is Andy Booth, originally from Hamilton, done most of his racing in Europe, but has had a stint this past season in Australia in the Formula Holdens. He's currently in second place. Just got a glimpse there of the Empower car of Matthew Halliday, and right in behind him, the youngest competitor here today, and that is Paul Dumbrell in the Wins Australia Reynard. Booth in second place already. Simon Wills is building a big lead. Car number 10, one of the lesser lights in the field, if you like, Ian Lloyd from New Zealand. The Ian Lloyd Structural Design Dome FL03. Now, that's a car that's come from the F3 racing in Japan, but of course now outfitted with the Formula Holden engine. And there is the Lighting Direct Barana Racing team just disposing of Ian Lloyd. Leroy Stevenson currently in third place. Once again, we take the inboard shots from the Dick Smith camera, and look at this, looming up on the outside of him is Emerson Newton-John. Well, if you think the name sounds familiar, you're correct. Emerson is Olivia Newton-John's nephew, but has been racing in Australia this past season, wants to go back and test for Indy Lights and then maybe come back and do another season in Australia Formula Holden. It seems to be the breeding class for the up-and-comers. Matthew Halliday off to the United States of America at the completion of this series to do yet another Indy Lights test. So too is Andy Booth, currently running in second place here at the P&O Ned Lloyd Tasman Express New Zealand Grand Prix. Through the turn we go, and Leroy Stevenson's gone off. Well, graphic pictures there. Stevenson off. Not too sure where that was. I think it might have been at the top of the hill. So real problems there for Leroy Stevenson's got the car going again now. You just saw, in fact, going into the pits it was. So some problems for Leroy Stevenson in the second of the Lighting Direct Barana team. 22, Emerson Newton-John in problem as well, and round he goes, and that's coming into the hairpin. So he's really got to get that car out of the way of the battle behind him. Paul Dumbrell and Steve Owen from Australia continue their battle, but Emerson Newton-John in all sorts of problem there. Can he get the car restarted? Yes, he can. So the Formula Holden is moving. Let's have a look at it on the replay. Just overcooks it, gets in a little bit too hot, and then gets on the throttle to try and straighten the car, but it comes right round in a 360. And then all he's thinking about now is preserving life and limb and getting the car off the racetrack. So Emerson Newton-John in problems in the New Zealand Grand Prix. The race leader is still Simon Wills. In fact, well, there might have been a change. I see the safety car coming out, and I think that might be for the stricken car of Simon Wills. We have had messages from the pits that Wills hasn't come round in that previous lap. So again, the drama has happened here at Pukekohe Park. Emerson Newton-John's car also being removed from the racetrack as well. But the drama is this: Simon Wills, with a healthy lead, has gone out whilst leading the New Zealand Grand Prix. He did it last week at Manfield in the Denny Holm Memorial. The seatbelts came loose. Can you believe it? And it's happened again for him. The race leader now, there'll be a smile all over the face of Andy Booth, the Propecia Reynard 94D, the NRC racing car, as Emerson Newton-John comes into the pits. after restarting his machine, the Kevin Murphy Racing Reynard. The team will work that car over, must make sure it's okay before they allow him to go back out onto the racetrack and maybe restart the battle with this man. Number 20 leads it, the Propecia NRC Racing Reynard 94D of Andy Booth. As we told you, hasn't done too much racing in New Zealand over the past few years. You see the hand coming up from Dean Cockerton, the New Zealander, car number 18, just does the sensible thing and gets out of the way of the battle behind him. And what a battle it is. Booth's got it all on his own at the moment, but right at the battle in second and third now is Matthew Halliday and Paul Dumbrell. There's Halliday, the Empire car, and there's Dumbrell, and right on his tail is Steve Owen. So exciting racing in the New Zealand Grand Prix, and you saw Leroy Stevenson just flash through the frame there. He's starting to make his way back through the field as well. So Booth leads it. The green flags fly right around the circuit. Halliday in second place, then it's Dumbrell, and then it's Owen. Behind Owen, it will be Peter Hill in the 66 car we saw Rick Kelly drive so well at Manfield last week, and behind him it is Stuart Costera from Australia in the Hocking Motorsport car. Well, can anybody do anything about the advantage that Andy Booth has at the moment? In fact, our telemetry tells us that Matthew Halliday is the fastest man on the racetrack at the moment. He hasn't equalled the pace set by Simon Wills because, of course, he took the lap record in the preliminary race earlier on this afternoon. He had gone faster in practice, but the race rules say that you can't take a lap record until it is a race situation. So 52.9 is the lap record here at Pukekohe, the overall lap record at this fine racing establishment. No one has ever gone quicker. So we're back on board here with Leroy Stevenson taking the Dick Smith shots. You see, he's just got past Steve Owen there. That's put him up into fourth place. So Owen back into fifth. In front of them, it is the Reynard of Paul Dumbrell. You just see him there as we cut to the outside shots again. And in front of Dumbrell, it is Matthew Halliday. The race leader, though, is still car number 20, and that is the Propecia car, the NRC Racing Reynard of Andy Booth. There is Matthew Halliday, and there's the battle for third and fourth at the moment. Look at this, Leroy Stevenson looking for the pass on Dumbrell. He's going to try and go around the long way as they head into the hairpin. It's not going to work for him, and the youngster from Australia is going to hold out the boy from Invercargill. Race leader flashes through your screen as he heads towards the John Deere Hill once again. Matthew Halliday starting to close the gap now. So the race getting a little bit tense at the front of the field for the P&O Nedloyd New Zealand Grand Prix. It is still Booth in the front. Through Jenny and Holmes he goes. As we told you, 240 clicks or there enough. And straight through, something like 3 Gs exerted on the race drivers as they go through that corner. These cars, of course, running a huge amount of downforce. And if you've got eagle eyes, you'll notice that they've taken the top gurney flap off the wings. That's to take some of the downforce away and get a little bit more speed. So we're back on board here taking the Dick Smith pictures with Leroy Stevenson from Invercargill, the Lighting Direct Barana racing car, trying to run down Paul Dumbrell as they come down into the braking area for the hairpin once again. Stevenson on the outside. On the inside is Dumbrell. Now they flip-flop the positions. Dumbrell having a right royal go on the outside. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. Stevenson holds on to the position. Just got a glimpse there of the Hocking Motorsport car of Steve Owen. So very tight racing in the mid-pack, if you like, here at the New Zealand Grand Prix. Remember, the race leader is this man, car number 20, the Propecia Reynard 94D, the NRC racing car of Andy Booth. In second place, Matthew Halliday. And with every beat of the engine, Halliday is getting closer and closer. Our telemetry tells us that he is once again the fastest man on the racetrack. Well, drama here because we've lost Leroy Stevenson, or have we? This is a battle for 5th and 6th now. This is Paul Dumbrell and Steve Owen, two of the Australians going at it hammer and tong, and I didn't see Leroy Stevenson come through there, so perhaps he's had some problems. Matthew Halliday, no problems for him at the moment as we look for the race leader as he heads up over the John Deere Hill once again. 260 kilometres an hour. The throttle is flat to the floor, and it is through this turn as well. Number 17, Mark Ellis, one of the back markers, is the next one in the sights of Andy Booth. And look at Halliday, gets closer and closer now, and Booth is going to be slowed by the lap traffic. Ellis and Ian Lloyd, by the look of it, are going to play a huge part in this race. Andy Booth can't get past, and Halliday gets it wrong and spins it. So the second place man goes out onto the grass here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. A good recovery from young Halliday, but then, well, the red mist comes down and he just overcooks it a little bit more. So Matthew Halliday throws away second place. See there on the replay, just came in a little bit hot in the corner and spins the car around. No problems for this man though, Andy Booth, on his way to winning the 2000 edition of the New Zealand Grand Prix. His name will join the illustrious names on the New Zealand Motor Cup. The names such as Bruce McLaren, Sir Jack Brabham, Sterling Moss, they're all there, and now Hamilton's Andy Booth will join them as he negotiates the Jenny and Holmes turn for the very last time. He's got a huge cushion on now a recovering Matthew Halliday in second place. Through the S's, he'll be listening intently to every noise the engine makes. Down the back straight for the last time. Hamilton's Andy Booth about to have the biggest win of his career. He negotiates the hairpin. He's got one more hill to go, and the New Zealand Grand Prix is his. The checkered flag comes out, and is he happy? In second place, it'll be Matthew Halliday. Third place is Paul Dumbrell, and in fourth, it's Steve Owen from Australia.
I must be doing something right. I mean, yeah, it's to benefit from Simon's misfortune 2 weeks in a row is, I guess I'm just lucky, but I'll take the win any way it comes. And hey, to take the two big trophies, Simon can have the little ones. No, it's great to see an NRC 1-2, and I really thought Matty was going to hunt me down at the end there. The engine seemed to be cutting out a little bit on the straights, and I thought we might have a real race, but unfortunately he got caught up in some back markers, so I feel sorry for him, but hey, we've still got an NRC 1-2.
So not only the New Zealand Grand Prix, but the Tasman Cup as well. Andy Booth takes that from Leroy Stevenson, Matt Halliday and Simon Wills. And what now for Andy Booth?
Indy Lights test 2 weeks from now, and hopefully a full season in America next year.
So a timely win for Booth as he heads to the United States for his Indy Lights test. Meantime, we pack up things and head to the deep south to Teretonga for round 3 of the CRC Summer Series. We'll see you there.